So we're doing the patch notes a little differently this time. Usually I just record and then just give my thoughts on it and stuff like that. But there's so much shit here that I don't think I have it in me to very quickly summarize this stuff. Like, this is a very, very massive patch. So I'm doing it a little differently, and I'm doing this one live. And that way chat can correct me on things I'm missing too. Because a lot of times when I have a very huge set of patch notes, I'll like forget what a perk does or something, and then I'll just feel like an idiot and someone corrects me in the comments later. Now people can correct me live so I don't make that mistake again. So yeah, a little different how I usually do it. This is going to be a much longer video. It's going to be not just, a standard, hey, 5 minutes got update. This is going to be like, probably an hour of in-depth analyzing everything. So I'll put timestamps and let you pick, where you want to go, which section of the video after it's done. But let's, I guess, get started with the first one. What if you all miss something? Well, then I guess we're all idiots then. First up, finishing Mori. So from what I understand, this is essentially everyone just gets a yellow Mori now. And that's it, right? They're not doing the base kit unbreakable system. They're not doing the realm finisher thing or anything like that. It's just simply everyone gets a Cypress Mori now. I guess to prevent those types of scenarios where there is only one person left, but there's no hooks in the area. They've crawled to a corner just to be obnoxious or whatever, and then you can just kill them. That seems to be pretty much it, right? Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. We've also added a new mechanic which hides nearby objects when a Mori is happening to prevent rocks, crates, and other things from rudely standing in the way so you can see these kills in all its glory. Oh, that's cool. So they're going to have like that, if you ever played like an isometric game before, and like the walls like become transparent. That's neat. So you won't actually have it blocked anymore. That's neat. I like that a lot. I don't think this really changed anything. We have reworked them to instead reward the killer with a large amount of blood points when a Mori is performed. Okay, so that's what the Moris are going to do now. Now, does this mean you cannot Mori people? Oh, yes. Okay, so you just simply can't Mori people at all anymore unless it's a last survivor. So there's no more, tunnel someone off second hook and then avoid their DS and things like that. This is just so Moris are essentially completely changed. But I'm guessing they're going to give it a large amount of blood points. They need to give a lot of blood points. Yeah, Devour Hope will obviously still allow you to do it, but they need to give you a ton of blood points. I wonder if you bring Devour Hope and you bring a Mori offering, will you get the Giga blood points for each Devour Hope kill? I wonder if it's limited to one or will it stack? Because that can feel like 1 billion blood points otherwise. That is a pretty interesting thought, so I guess we'll say. The wording does say Final Survivor. Oh, yeah, you're right. See, this is why it's good to do it live. When performing a Mori on the Final Survivor. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so they thought of that. Yes, Taz, this will be on YouTube. Okay, so that's whatever. Power of 2. Power of 2, if I recall correctly, is the perk where if somebody heals you and you have Power of 2, you both get, 8% haste? It's a pretty hefty haste, right? But it was terrible because there were so many conditions to it. You basically had to be touching each other, and it just saw no real use other than just, meme YouTube videos and things like that. 5%? I could have sworn it was bigger than that. It's only 5, really? I thought it was 8 for some reason. Either way, so they've done a couple of changes. Oh, Blood Pact is 7. I was probably thinking of that. You're right. They have similar effects. So they've increased the range to 60 meters, which is a pretty sizable buff from 12 meters. That's percentage-wise, that's a pretty big increase. The effect now lingers when out of range. So if you were to cancel the effect normally, and that would be the end of the perk, now I guess you have a little bit of a wiggle room before it actually becomes completely deactivated, and then it can get re-enabled. There's no cooldown anymore, and it doesn't deactivate when either survivor loses a health state. That's really good because a lot of the time the perk was used to prevent people from getting tunneled off the hook, and all the killer would have to do is just smack the guy, and then the perk was disabled, so it didn't really do anything. Now, granted, they have to be healed, so you'd have to do we'll make it heal under the hook or something like that. But there were scenarios like that where that was a thing. So, so that's good. I don't know. I still don't think this perk is going to be very good because it still involves teammates having to be very close together, which is what the killer wants. The killer always wants multiple teammates to be in the same spot. That's how you snowball. You can't snowball without people being in the same spot. This perk requires you to be in the same spot. So Honestly, they could buff this perk even more, and I still don't think it'll be good. It'll be pretty funny for like doing survive with friends and getting certain plays off. I just can't see a realistic scenario in which this is actually considered like a meta or good perk, because it requires you to group up. It's one of the main reasons I don't consider Discordance to be a very good perk, because it requires survivors to group up, which they shouldn't be doing to begin with. So this is still not really amazing. I could see like doing a couple of fun things with your friends though, like having a particular play style or build, and that could be pretty interesting. But yeah, in terms of it being like a meta good perk, it's gonna be a lot of me talking. It's not great. Collective Stealth is even worse. Collective Stealth is the perk, I believe, when you get healed, you just lose scratch marks as long as you're near the person. This perk is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I don't really care what they do to this. It's still going to be terrible. It seems like they did the same base changes with the bigger AoE. Doesn't lose a... Yeah, so it's following the exact same formula. But this perk is even worse. Like, this at least gives you haste. Haste is a pretty tangible benefit. This just makes your scratch marks go away. That's just a terrible perk. So it'd be cool if it muted footsteps. Yeah, that or like hid auras. I don't even think it's got aura protection on it. I'm pretty sure it's just scratches. It's a terrible perk. So this will still never be used by anybody. I'm not 100% sure. Does it have aura protection? I'm pretty sure it's just scratches, right? Yeah, that's a terrible perk. So that's still garbage. Corrective Action. My God. My suggestion for Corrective Action was make it so failed skill checks become great skill checks, or no, become good skill checks, and good skill checks become great skill checks. That way, even, players that are not shit can still have a benefit from it, because if they hit a good skill check, it becomes a great, so it gives a little bit of a bonus. And so it's actually worth using, and it's limited by tokens anyway, so you can't like abuse it or anything like that. So what they did was, now it applies to survivors within 8 meters, was cooperating on the same action. Okay, so you can just be nearby instead of having to literally be touching the gen. Prevented failed skill checks, now become great skill checks. Was good. Yeah, see, that doesn't do exactly what I wanted it to, though. I wanted fails to become goods and goods to become greats. Basically, it upgraded to whatever. This basically still only works if you have idiots that are just missing skill checks on gens. Now, there is a pretty funny thing you could do with this. If you have a couple of people on the gen with you, and you have max tokens for it, and you're on Survive with Friends, and they have hyper focus, it's just so many things, then you could tell them, hey, just fucking mash spacebar, idiots, and they'll get hyper focus stacks. That would be funny as hell. But, I mean, that's such a niche scenario. So I just can't imagine that this is still going to be useful at all. It's a funny idea, though. I want to try that like with Zubat one day. Just like one of us has hyper focus and the other person has corrective action, and we just tell them to mash spacebar. If another person has it, you have infinite tokens. Does it stack like that? Can you feed each other tokens? No way. I don't think it works like that. Otherwise, you would both be able to just mash spacebar. You would just fucking mash spacebar. There's no way. There's no way that would work. Yeah, they had to have thought of that, because you would both have hyper focus, you'd both have corrective action, and you would just have a macro that mashes spacebar, and you'd be like, ring, ring, ring. That would just be stupid. There's no way. If they don't know about it, they will know about it from people talking about it, so that would be insanely stupid. 4 perks for it, though? Yeah, but it would turn everybody into giga hyper-focus machines for free with no skill involved. So, that would be not good. Yeah, because you get tokens when you hit great skill checks, but your fails would turn into greats from the other person's perk, giving you more greats. They would, yeah, no, they definitely would have thought of that. And if they didn't, they will. So that's not going to happen. Still a shit perk. Inner Focus. Increase aura reading duration to 10 seconds for was 5 seconds. This is when you're near a survivor that gets hit, right? Then you get to see the killer, I believe. Now, this just has no range requirement and it'll last longer. Yeah, that's okay. It's a decent information perk, I guess. I feel like I'd still prefer, if you're worrying about like who's being chased, I'd be more worried like Empathy does this globally with no requirements or cooldown or duration or anything, and you could still tell you that that person's being chased at that time. So now it's not going to give you the exact position of the killer, but you can sort of gauge from a survivor's aura what's happening in the chase. Like you can see them running around a loop, looking behind them. You can pretty much gauge where a killer is roughly based on that. So, I still don't think this is a good perk. It's certainly better, though. I'd say it's usable now. But it's still not great. You still get to see scratch marks of other survivors. Yeah, but how useful is that? That's not a super important thing, you know? And then fixated is for your own, I think. But empathy didn't show survivors being chased. Empathy shows injured survivors. So, this requires a survivor to be hit, which means they're going to trigger empathy anyway. And empathy is global and has no cooldown or requirement, and you see the injured survivor's aura permanently. So, I think empathy for that is slightly better. But, you know, it's fine. It's okay. We're going to live forever. Holy shit, that is a crazy buff. This is a absolutely massive, massive buff. So not only do you no longer need to get a safe unhook for the endurance to proc, but it also just got buffed by 50%. That is insanely impactful. That is a very good perk. That will let you pick someone up in like, what, 6 seconds or something? With no other perks. Combine that. Dude, I bet you can combine that with Botany Will Make It and a medkit and pick somebody up in between killer attack cooldown. I'm gonna have fun with that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna try that a lot. That is gonna be insane. And on top of that, too, the endurance now is just free. It's very, very unlikely. This 30-second cooldown to endurance almost never comes into play ever. Have you ever seen someone, we're going to live forever, 2 people in a row and apply endurance to both of them? I mean, that's such a niche scenario that this cooldown is basically just a frilly effect that does nothing. It's, damn. We're going to live forever is insanely strong now. It was already a good perk, which is the weird part. I don't know why they buffed this perk, because it was already completely fine. It's to stop stacking healing so people can heal before kill and can recover hits. Oh, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Well, no, because then they go into deep wound. Oh, no, but then you would just down them, and then you can reset the same thing. Okay, yeah, I get it. People are complaining about slugging. Sure, but then you could just run We're Gonna Live Forever, which was already a really good perk. I don't know. That's crazy. That's very, very, very strong. It can't be understated how useful this is. Like, this is whatever. Probably saves you 2 seconds on the heal, right? I mean, that's amazing, but it's not insane. This not needing that safe unhook now, meaning it can happen immediately, is kind of crazy. The dev notes, while the endurance aspect of the perk made the perk overly complicated to make use of, so we've replaced this with a cooldown instead. I guess to a new player, understanding that you are not going to get the secondary effect unless someone's been hooked, then you unhook them, and then they don't get unhooked for 10 seconds after you unhook. I guess to a new player, that could be slightly complicated. Survivors aren't left in the dying state often. I think what they're saying is they're not slugged often, because obviously they entered the dying state. Yeah, well, left in this dying state. I think they're saying that people aren't being slugged all game, and that is true. I would say most games, survivors are not spending the majority of the time slugged. It does happen, but it's not incredibly common that you're on the ground for more than 30 seconds at a time. It really isn't. You remember it when it happens because it sucks ass when it does, but it's really not that common. So I think that, I don't think that's a joke. I think that's a legitimate statement. I think that's completely fine. But damn, massive, massive buff. That is, I mean, it was already considered pretty meta. Well, at least back in the day, but now this is insanely good. Everyone on Reddit is just slugged and tunneled at the same time every match and camped. Yeah, that's crazy. It was only mad because of the BP bonus. I don't know, man. I've lost games because of that perk before. It's pretty damn good. Poised. When you first start repairing a generator, see the killer's aura for 6 seconds now. Poised used to be when a gen finishes, you lost scratch marks, I think, for 10 seconds. So now you lose scratch marks for 14 seconds, but now also when you touch a gen for the first time, you see the killer's aura for 6 seconds. That's good. Like, think about that. At the start of a match, you just touch a gen, you know what the killer is immediately. That's actually, like, that's good. That's actually very solid. Knowing who the killer is immediately, or even giving you information that it's a stealth killer, is useful as well. Wraith, I mean, that's good. Then you'll see nothing and know, okay, it's Wraith. That's it. You'll know if it's at the start of the match, it's Wraith. Or Myers, I guess. Ghostface, I feel like Ghostface doesn't usually immediately start Night Shroud. Usually counts on more like getting range first, but yeah, for the most part, it's still pretty good. Crouching piggy. Pigs don't start in crouch either. Is it only once per generator? When you first start repairing a generator. Yeah, I'm assuming it's once per generator the first time you've touched it per match. That's very, very strongly what it implies. Yeah, that's good. That's very solid. Every reason to not use power immediately as Ghostface? I mean, I guess not. Throughout the match, yeah. So it's the first time you touch every generator. So you can potentially get this, what, 7 times? That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a solid information perk. I like it. And it still has the other effect. You might actually... You know, Poised would have value. It's just... It's not good enough to, warrant a perk slot. Like, you still get the base Poised effect now, which is cool. So, yeah, that's solid. Very nice. Yeah, Jane's got good perks, for sure. Blood Rush. Oh, man, that's a big change. Blood Rush now activates for 60 seconds after being unhooked. Previously activated permanently. We were 1 hook away from death. End healthy, I think, is also the requirement. New Blood Rush deactivates upon performing conspicuous action. New Blood Rush deactivates when exit gates are powered. No longer heals or provides broken status effect. Okay. Oh, so you... Wait, so does it still injure you? No, I don't think I don't think it injures you anymore. It's just simply it's like a decisive strike effect now. Huh. Interesting. That's good, because the original Blood Rush was kind of weird in design, because the only way you could use it was if you were on Death Hook and also not getting tunneled. Because you would need to be on Death Hook and also get unhooked and then also heal and be able to give yourself the benefit of the perk. Which was kind of like that scenario never really happened. So now this basically is just another layer of anti-tunneling. So you could double sprint burst off a hook. You could double sprint burst off a hook now. Yeah. That's actually pretty damn good. Holy shit. Sprint burst stonks way up. No, Unknown. You want it to be active for longer. Because what's going to happen is, for up to 60 seconds, you can press the active ability button and trigger Blood Rush, which instantly resets your exhaustion. No longer heals you anymore or anything like that, but whatever. Just giving yourself two exhaustion perks in a row, that's really good. You still need to heal? No, it's... From what it's implying, the healing part is not relevant at all now. It's just simply a limited time thing after getting unhooked, and it disables from conspicuous action. So it's really just like another decisive strike. It's another form of anti-tunnel protection, which is cool because it stacks with the other ones as well. If a killer is relentlessly tunneling you, and you have off the record decisive strike and Blood Rush, you can use all 3 of the perks, and they don't like override each other. They have different layers of defense. So that's kind of crazy. Wonder a deep wound prevents it. I don't know why it would. Nothing from what I'm reading here implies that deep wound would have any effect on that whatsoever. You think you still have to be healthy? It doesn't mention that at all. If you still have to be healthy, then does it still injure you? Not like they're not mentioning injure or healthy. It just says it's active for set duration after you're unhooked. That's it. Like there's no further description there. So I don't think your health state is relevant anymore. I don't think that's how it's working. I'm pretty sure this is just another decisive strike now. If you need to be healthy, it's garbage. Yeah, it'll be useless if you need to be healthy, but nothing in the text implies that you need to be healthy, so I don't know why we're assuming that. That's what the old perk did. This is a major update. They're completely reworking it, so I don't think it matters anymore. That's the fundamental way Blood Rush works, trading health for endurance. Right, but again, it's a complete rework. This is a completely... When it says major update, it means the thing is entirely different. So... yeah, I think this is just another decisive strike now. And if you combine that with other anti-tunnel perks, holy shit, it is going to be so hard to tunnel somebody. Like, think about that. They have the unhook speed burst as well. Then they have off the record. So you hit them, that triggers their deep wound. Then you down them and pick them up. Then they decisive strike. Then they can... Dude, they can actually sprint burst away, extend the chase there, and then eventually go down like 40 seconds later, decisive strike, reset their sprint burst again, and then get more distance again. Hey, Blorka, thanks. That's gonna be annoying. You can dead hard DS and dead hard again. I mean, 2 dead hards in a row is a meme. I mean, that's like, the killer's gonna fucking know you have dead hard. So, dude, the true Giga Chat thing is you dead hard 1 hit and then you dead hard again just to dab on him while you're in deep wound. It has no effect, but just do it anyway. Just double dead hard. That is that is very strong. I think without a doubt the new full anti-meta thing will be this in Sprint Burst, because obviously your exhaustion is going to be reset off the hook. You Sprint Burst, you know, full duration, then you just Sprint Burst again, the full duration. That just seems like a no-brainer. Can you Sprint Burst? I forget how I didn't experiment with this a lot. If you Sprint Burst and then immediately Blood Rush and Sprint Burst again, do you get like 225 movement speed, or does it just simply extend the duration? Because multiple movement speed things stack like that, but I'm not sure if when it's your own perk. Like other things that give you haste will stack with you, but if it's your own perk, I'm not sure how that works. It wouldn't be worth it anyway. It'd be better to just do 150 for 3, 150 for 3. I'm just saying it'd be funny. just go fucking zooming. This theoretically would allow you to take 2 exhaustion perks? Yes. Is there a world where that would be a viable option? You could do some 5-head shit. I don't know. Can you activate it mid-air? Think about you have Sprint Burst and Balanced Landing. You Sprint Burst to a roof, and then as you're falling mid-air, you activate it and get your... and get your Balanced Landing. And that would confuse the killer, too, because you would still scream. You go, ah! But then you'd hit the ground and have Balanced Landing on... Like, that would be such a mindfuck. And the thing is, actually, you can combo Sprint Burst with it. Wait, can you? I thought Sprint Burst happens... Shit, I don't know. If you're sprinting and you reset your exhaustion, would Sprint Burst trigger, or do you have to begin sprinting again? I didn't mess with that perk enough because it was so hard to activate. It was, like, pointless. You need to begin sprinting again. So you technically could run Sprint Burst with other exhaustion perks. You could run Sprint Burst and Dead Hard and have it not be a meme. That's actually hilarious. That's so crazy. That'll be the first time in this game's history you could actually run Sprint Burst Dead Hard and have it not be stupid. Yeah, that's very strong. That is a very, very strong anti-tunnel perk. I still think the best scenario was just going to be that with Sprint Burst, because that's just going to give you so much distance away from the hook, in addition to your speed burst from just simply getting unhooked. Don't you need to be running to use Dead Hard? Would that trigger Sprint Burst again? No, the whole question is, if you're already sprinting and your exhaustion... See, normally that's not a thing that can happen. If you're sprinting, your exhaustion can't reset, so you can't Sprint Burst again. I'm saying, does the Sprint Burst function happen when you go from not running to running, or is it constantly checking when you're running? You know what I mean? That's going to be the part I'm not really sure about. Because if it checks constantly when you're running, then that wouldn't work. I mean, you could still do it with things like, you know, like Balanced Landing and stuff like that, but I'm not really sure. Hey, Pekorka, yeah, I'm on a different scene right now. It doesn't show up. I'm sorry. I appreciate it, though. PTB is going to be the Wild West. It checks constantly. Okay, never mind then. Well, I mean, you could still combo with other things, but yeah, Sprint Burst and Blood Rush is going to be a very good method of getting away from the hook. Now, obviously, certain killers, Billy and Blight and Spirit, can catch up with you, but for really every other killer that doesn't have a very quick movement speed ability, this is going to give you a ton of distance and a ton of extra protection, so that's going to be really nice. Very, very strong anti-tunnel perk. Doesn't really have much of a use other than anti-tunneling, but I'm all for them adding more anti-tunnel perks because it benefits me, because I try not to tunnel, so I don't really encounter them, and they waste perk slots. Happy laugh. Excellent. PTB is going to be fun and chaotic, yeah. Okay, Blood Rush, very good. Quick Gambito. When chased, see the auras of other survivors. That is new. Quick Gambit now has a 60-second cooldown upon losing a health state. Interesting. So what this perk normally did is when you were getting chased near a generator, people on the gen would repair it faster, but that was bad because you would bring people to the gen that's being repaired and the killer would be there, causing them to get off the gen, so it was pointless. So now it's global. So now just everybody on the... Okay, so but they nerfed the repair speed bonus. That makes sense. Because that would be kind of busted. So now it's global, and everyone repairs gens 5% faster as long as you're being chased. But they have a new thing. This is interesting. So now if you get hit during that chase, then it's disabled. Well, it goes on cooldown. So basically, the more... It's going to... A person with quick Gambit is going to want to play much safer at the start. It's a Gambit? It actually is a Gambit now. Yeah, that's cool. So, yeah, the person that's with quick Gambit at the start is going to want to play very safe and drop pallets a lot earlier, and you don't want to be risky. Because if you get hit, you lose all that benefit. But, you know, think about that. If the first chase takes 40 seconds, 40 seconds of giving everyone 5% bonus of chase, that's... Or gen speed, that's pretty good. Now you got to think about it. 5% saves you, like, you know, 4 point something seconds on a generator, which is not crazy, but that times 5, you know. The most important part is it gives yellow bar. Yellow bar, very important. But, yeah, I'd say that's not terrible. 4.3 seconds off each gen. Times 5. It's like 20-something seconds saved overall. It's funny, when you boil it down to math like that, really a perfectly used version of Quick Gambit where you're constantly in chase the whole game, it still really only saves you like 19, 20 seconds. It's not that crazy. But the aura effect is kind of nice. So you can know where not to take a chase. Honestly, the repair speed is whatever. But this is really nice. So you know where to not take a chase. That is one of the biggest and most important things a survivor can do correctly is know where to take the chase. You can lose games by keeping yourself alive, but taking the killer to an area where the game was about to finish. But now you can see where people are working on gens when you're getting chased. So that's really good. Yeah, you can use it to sandbag too. If it's not a big deal, then to remove the repair speed bonus. Yeah, but YOLO bar. It could be 1%. It'd still be worth because YOLO bar. Great for solo queue. Yeah, I view this as a very good solo queue perk now. Because you'll know where to not take the killer. That's pretty solid, actually. And, you know, if it has a nice benefit of saving you 15, 20 seconds in the match, too, that's nice as well. Better, worse, different from Bond? Definitely different. Because there's no range on this. This lets you know where everybody is on the map, so you can plan out way more in advance how you're going to route your chase and stuff like that. So, it's a good perk, I think. I think that's a decent perk and a very good solo queue perk. Why is yellow bar so important? Because it looks good. It's serotonin and dopamine. You can see your team not doing gens. Yeah, you can see your Meg in the corner doing nothing. Yeah, that's pretty good. Distortion. Distortion no longer has tokens and instead deactivates once used until the next time you are chased. Damn. That really hurts it a lot. They increase the duration of it, which is nice as compensation, but yeah, that's pretty murdered. Play the game if you want Distortion, Claudette. Yeah. The fact that it only works a single time until you get chased again, yeah, that really... I feel like that kills it. The fact that it had multiple tokens was what made it so good. But that I feel like that pretty much just kills the perk.
Goodbye, Distortion, I don't miss you.
I don't either, Shibuku. Still counters Lethal Pursuer? Yeah, it does. But countering Lethal Pursuer is not that worth it. Because usually you spawn next to your teammates, and if you have a guy here and a guy here, the killer's gonna go, I bet the other two are right here with Distortion. Like, it's not as strong as you think. Feel like it's still useful? I mean, it's useful in the sense that it has a use. A thing happens when you equip the perk. But, yeah, that's not very good. You can see it being a chase perk now if you exit chase mid-chase. What this is better for now is countering a couple of perks that activate in chase for the killer. And we'll get to those later. But it's more of like it's actually, in my opinion, it's not a rat perk anymore. It's actually an anti-chase perk now. Because there are a lot of aura reading effects that killers have, you know, like clown invigoration bottle add-on, like just shit like that, little random aura readings that this is actually better for now. Yeah, like I'm all ears, things like that. So yeah, it's definitely shifted away from rat behavior, and it's now actually more for chads that want to get chased and want to deny the aura reading mid-chase. I don't know. I'll need some time to stew on that. It seems like the main thing, though, the rat behavior is severely punished, which makes me happy. Because I hate when people just spend all match hiding. It absolutely tilts me, so I'm okay with that. By rats, yeah, I'm very okay with that. Lucky Star. Now suppresses grunts of pain and pools of blood as long as you were in the locker. This effect lingers for 30 seconds after exiting the locker. No longer reveals survivors or generator auras. Yeah, isn't that just sort of Iron Will, but with a limited duration? I guess it removes your blood, too. Depending on the map, your blood could be pretty easy to track. I'd rather just run Lucky Break and Iron Will, honestly. That's bad. Yeah, I don't know why they felt the need to nerf an aspect of the perk, as if like, hey, we're giving you a huge bonus here, so we gotta take something away. Like, this perk is dog shit. Just add things to dog shit to make it not dog shit. That's stupid. Well, no one's gonna use that. Killer perks, genetic limits. Anytime a survivor loses a health state, they suffer from the exhaustion. Oh, they're just exhausted for 8 seconds. Jesus, that's good. So that just murders Dead Hard. That kills Overcome. That basically kills every exhaustion perk unless they use it as soon as the chase starts. This is potentially good. This is not potentially. This is just good. That's just a very good perk. Now, it's not as clear-cut as you think, because if people are already injured, this doesn't really apply. This is just if you take a chase from full to dying state, it's very strong. But if they're already injured, it's like, you know, if they get unhooked and they're injured, they can still dead hard, you know? It's not going to prevent that. Additionally, Sprint Burst, yeah. If this does become a problem, people will just shift to Sprint Burst, and it's just sort of whatever. Yes, it completely kills Overcome, but that's a pretty underused exhaustion perk, so whatever. It's not something that was in the meta that needed to be countered. Okay. Okay, that's not as insane as I thought, because that's really just for your first chase on a non-injured person that it becomes relevant. And so what will happen here is if it becomes meta, people will shift their playstyles to, instead of using their exhaustion perks when they're in a much more precarious position and they need to get to safety, they'll simply use it earlier to prevent the chase from really even starting. So, for example, if you were in a house on Haddonfield and you were planning to run up and drop off the roof and bounce landing once you were injured, you might run around the house once, get hit, then run upstairs and do it. But then I guess you wouldn't be able to do that anymore. It would have to be only if you're injured. So, I mean, it's still good. It's a good perk. Good survivors will walk to remove the exhaust. Yeah, because it's 8 seconds in a chase outside a line of sight, you could stop running and potentially regenerate it mid-chase. Usually a good killer's not going to let you do that depending on the loop, but it's possible, yeah. I still think that's pretty good. It does, it does stop a lot of exhaustion perk usages on your first chases with people. So, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on how good that is. I feel like it's good, but I'm not 100% sure. Well, this is not something that we just test one time. This is something I'm going to have to see it for like a couple of weeks in game to see exactly how much value it's getting. Not bad. Leverage. When a survivor performs an unhook, their healing speed is reduced by 50% for 30 seconds. Okay, so it's just anti will make it, I guess. 100% faster is the same thing as 50% reduction, right? In terms of like being the opposite. That would be... what? 27 will make it counters it entirely? Right, I'm saying it's the antithesis to it. So, it's 8 seconds heal with will make it, and if you have this, it's back to 16 seconds. Will the math work like that, actually? That's what I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's multiplicative or not. I'm actually not 100% sure. I mean, that's certainly better. That's definitely better. Because I don't even know what the last version of Leverage did. This is fucking pointless perk. Do you even want to stop healing under hook, though? So that's the part I was getting to. So kind of like Power of 2 having a powerful effect, but the play style it incentivizes is bad. You know, sticking together is bad as Survivor. Healing under hook is a bad idea as Survivor most of the time. If you've got, like, we'll make it in botany and you can get the heal off in 5 seconds, that's sort of a different story. But for the most part, just healing under the hook is a very risky thing because not only are you in a guaranteed position for the killer to know where 2 people are, but you might not even get the heal off, which means you've wasted time, and the person might also get tunneled, or you get chased off, so now that person has a half heal. They're still injured, so if they don't find somebody else, that's still going to snowball into an instant down rather than a full, having to get 2 hits. So healing under hook is usually not a very good idea. Leverage makes it easier to tunnel after unhook if they're healing under hook, but the moment they see this perk, they'll run immediately. Yeah, also that too, because you'll know that that's happening as well. So this is sort of the Lightborn effect, where this perk unintentionally makes people smarter. And it'll make them not heal under the hook, which they really shouldn't be doing anyway. Leverage would be good for hit and run, because they'll stay injured. Well, it's only the unhooking Survivor. What if the person that got unhooked has, a medkit or someone else heals them? It's not like all healing against that Survivor is slowed down. It's the person that unhooked only. And it still only lasts 30 seconds too. I don't know. I feel like that's still not very good. I can't really see myself running this. Maybe on like some meme anti-healing build or something, but I feel like that's still not worth it. Yeah, Resurgence and a medkit. Just one perk. One perk completely shits on all this. I feel like it's still bad. Oni lovers love this. It depends how much blood you got on the field, because Oni actually wants people to waste time healing. If he's already got a lot of blood in the arena, time spent healing to an insta-down, was wasted time, So it depends on a lot of things, but I don't think that's great. It's certainly better than before, though. I think it's usable now, but I don't think that's very good at all. How do I feel about the distortion changes? It's pretty dead, and I don't care. I'm happy to see it. I hate distortion, so. That's alright, I guess. Thwack. Man, they really just tackled old Skull Merchant perks. Thwack now starts with 3 tokens. Gain 1 token upon hooking a survivor when breaking a pallet or breakable wall. Consume 1 token and cause survivors within 24 meters to scream, reveal their location for 5 seconds. Okay, so you can basically do it multiple times. And you get more before unhooking a survivor. Okay. I mean, that's fine.
Hey,
Alphabet, thanks to the 22. I've always thought Thwack was not great because, if you're breaking a pallet, you typically know where the person you're chasing is because they just fucking dropped a pallet. So you don't need them to scream because you're looking at them. You know what I mean? It is good on certain areas that have a lot of breakable walls because, then you can break that and see people and actually get value because you're not in a chase with them. So for the most part, though, it's good for finding rats. Yeah, but it's still situational for finding rats as well. 24 meters is not super big, and there needs to be a chase happening where a pallet's dropped to begin with unless you got breakable walls there. Yeah, on Dead Dog it'd be good because there's breakable walls every 2 feet. Yeah, I still don't think I'll run that ever. Machine learning. The most recently damaged generator becomes compromised. As opposed to... Oh, you don't have to set it up anymore. So machine learning, how it used to work, you'd have to kick a generator to activate the perk and then kick another gen to compromise it, which made no sense. I don't know why you had to do that. It's like the only perk in the game that requires you to kick 2 gens for its effect. It was weird. So that's sort of a no-brainer change. So now, once that gen pops, then you'll get the stealth and the haste and all that stuff. So that is better. Yeah, I mean, that's good. I don't know why it made no sense you had to pre-set it up to begin with. The haste is crazy. Yeah, it's a very powerful effect. It's just having to kick 2 gens for it to happen was always weird. So I still don't think it's an amazing perk, but it's certainly better now for sure. Deathbound. Deathbound is the one when you heal somebody outside the range of the killer, they scream, right? Or they scream and become oblivious, I think. Is the healer or the healy oblivious? I think it's the healer gets oblivious, right? Healer, okay. Deathbound no longer has a distance requirement to activate. Okay. Cool. Deathbound no longer has a duration and instead deactivates whenever the healer is hooked. Oh, okay. So you basically have a permanent oblivious until they're downed. Not even down, until they're hooked. Huh. Depending on the map and depending on the killer, that could be pretty good. Yeah, it's honestly on a slug build or something, like that on Oni or something like that, kind of... I feel like that kind of fucks on Oni, right? Because Oni doesn't really have to hook as much, because he's going to go around slugging people. And the oblivious on Oni's power is going to be scary. Yeah, I can think of a couple of killers that's actually pretty good on. Yeah, and Oni also, the scream lets you know where blood pools are. That's a good point as well. Yeah, twins do. Basically, any killer that does pretty well with slugging is going to benefit a lot from this. Because you might be looking at basically an uncounterable permanent oblivious the entire game if they play super slug heavy. Now, again, it's going to depend on the map. If you're on Blood Lodge or Rotten Field or something, it doesn't matter. You can just see the killer. But if you're on like an indoor map or a clustered, you know, more congested outdoor map, that could be pretty scary, yeah. I think that's pretty good. I think Deathbound is pretty solid. It's counterable if they hug the person they healed, no oblivious. That is true. What is the range? I forgot about that effect. What does anyone know the range that you have to be within the person you healed? Hey, Cosmic, thanks, man. I thought it was like 16 meters or something. Oh, it's 8 meters? Oh, that's really close. That's not great. If they split up for 2 seconds, they're oblivious again. They basically have to hug each other the entire time. Yeah, that's not very good. Preciosity, thank you for the 2. Hate your name. Yeah, that's good. I can think of a couple of killers that's very strong on. Zanshin Tactics. My god. When a survivor is within 6 meters of a drop pallet, within 16 meters of your location, their aura is revealed for 10 seconds. Oh, that's interesting. So basically, if you want to play a pallet rather than kick it and move on to the next tile, you kind of get a massive advantage there. No, it's not going to help you with Shack. You have to kick Shack pallet. There's no mind gaming that. This is basically for a loop that is not particularly safe, and so you don't have to kick the pallet. This will give you basically permanent aura reading on the person. Because I don't see a cooldown here. So if you're looping around a dropped pallet, you have permanent aura reading on that person until they leave. So that's actually pretty good. Yeah, like Pyramid Head can make insane use of that. Artist, yeah, anything that's going to go through walls. I mean, the survivor is not going to be able to mind game you at all then. You'll just know exactly where they are. That's very good. Like, I would say legit half the pallets in any given map don't have to be kicked. Which means as soon as the survivor drops it, instead of kicking it and moving on, you rotate around it. Survivor rotates around it, suddenly a permanent aura reading on him. That's good. That's very good. Depending on your killer, it can be a legitimate meta perk that you'd want every time. Some killers are not going to get too much value out of this. But that is very good. That is very strong change. Should be Killer Instinct, not Aura. Yeah, but the fact that it's straight up direct Aura reading is pretty insane. Like, a survivor will not be able to mind game you whatsoever. It'll be nerfed because of Nurse. Write it down. The standard Nurse effect. Good old Awaken Awareness. Yeah, that's good. Dead Man Switch. Now applies only to the first survivor who stops repairing a generator. How's that work? Is it a client-side only block, so that survivor sees the entity block, but the other people don't? I guess. I guess that's how it have to work, or that's how it would have to work. I think it means the first gen? Okay. I thought it was saying, like, the first survivor that lets go if there's 2 people on it. it would block it all. Okay. So it's saying it's only going to trigger for one generator. The duration is heavily increased, though. Wait, it wasn't... That's not right. Deadman switch is not 45 seconds. I thought it was like 20 or 30 seconds. It's 30. Okay, yeah, I'm not crazy, right? The fuck are they talking about? Maybe this is a previous version of an internal build that they were doing and they just fucked up and copied that. Okay, so it's going from 30 to 50 seconds. Is that a buff or a side grade or a nerf? I think that's a buff. I think that's overall a buff. Usually, you're not deadman switching that many generators. It's usually one, maybe two. Especially if you combine it with, like, yeah, nerf to Artist, sure. Artist is, like, the one that can actually pressure all of them. But I'd say for most killers, this is probably a general buff. Especially good with Grim Embrace. Oh, yeah. True. You can just tap a gem with no progress and counter it. No. You'd have to be actively repairing it. It's only active when you're repairing... It's only... Oh, you're saying after... After the hook happens. Then you just tap a gen and block it. I get what you're saying. Well, I mean, it's not like you can just teleport to an unfinished gen. That's not as free as you think it is. How are you going to get to the generator? And if so, if you're near that generator, why weren't you working on that generator? And how are you organizing that? Like, that's not as clear-cut as you're claiming it is. The Unhook will most likely do this. Yeah, but then you're going to repair the gen right near the hook that the killer's probably coming back to? I don't know. If you're running around unstarted gens, you're wasting more time than the perk gives. Not necessarily. Like, I think that's valid counterplay, but it's not, like, so game-breaking that the perk doesn't do anything. It still has an effect. Yeah, so my whole problem with Deadman Switch most of the time is if you use it and then you, as a killer, you see someone working on a gen, you go to them, get them off the gen and it gets blocked, it doesn't matter because you're chasing that person now. They weren't doing the gen anyway. Whether it's blocked or not, still no one's working on the gen, you know? That's why I always thought Deadman Switch is not a very great perk. Except on a couple of killers, like Artist, for example, extremely good. But a lot of the time, it doesn't have much of an effect because they're leaving the gen anyway when you're chasing people off. Okay, for Doctor, maybe? Yeah, if you can get a shock off, yeah. Things like that. I don't know. I think this is hard to say. My gut instinct is that this is actually slightly better than before now. It's more just for info. I mean, it's not just for info, because sometimes you have two people on a generator, you chase one, the other guy has to go somewhere else too. Or maybe it's the last gen that was about to pop, and that's the gen that they need to finish, and that's blocked for almost a minute now. Like, in the right scenario, that could actually straight up save you the game. But in the wrong scenario, survivors could basically use it up on a gen that doesn't matter, so... I don't know. That I don't really think I can... I can't really give a good read on this. I feel like it might be slightly better, but I'm not really sure. We're going to need more... We're just going to need to see that played out a lot. That's actually pretty complicated. Interesting, though. Blood Echo. Blood Echo no longer has a cooldown. Blood Echo is when you hook somebody, all injured survivors become exhausted and hemorrhaged, right? I think. Okay. No longer has a cooldown. I didn't even know it had a cooldown. Reduced duration to 30 seconds. What the hell was the cooldown? And what was the original? It had a 45-second duration. Yeah, like what they're saying here, though, it had its built-in natural cooldown of needing to hook people. Like, you're usually not hooking two people within 20 seconds, so I feel like the cooldown was kind of redundant. I feel like they didn't need to reduce the duration of it. I feel like the effect wasn't strong enough to justify that. But I guess I can understand that, because if the killer's kind of fucking, and he's getting hooks every 50 seconds, you basically have everyone permanently exhausted, like, for the entire game. But I don't think this perk was meta enough to warrant that nerf. So, feels like a nerf overall most games. That's sort of what I'm leaning towards. Now, it's also important to note that when you apply exhaustion for the 30 seconds, if you're chasing people, their exhaustion's not going down. So for a couple of people, it still might last a long time. But I feel like just removing the cooldown, that's it. Only change it needed. It wasn't good enough to justify taking away something from it as well. Crowd control. The last 3, 4, or 5 vaults which survivors rush vault are blocked by the entity. This lasts until the hex totem is cleansed. Oh, as opposed to, what is it, 30 seconds? A minute? It was a minute. Something like that. So now it's just permanently... Well, it's permanently blocked, but only on the last 5 vaults. Imagine the game. Fuck you. You don't get to vault anything in the map. That's actually hilarious. I mean, I say only because it's heavily dependent on the map. This on Larry's does literally nothing. This on the game blocks every vault on the map. So it's very dependent on that stuff. And yeah, it's also a hex, so it can just be immediately deleted. Last 3, 4, 5 vaults which survivors rush vault are blocked by the entities. Last until the hex totem is cleansed. Damn, that's kind of a crazy change, though. Permanent until destroyed. So if you get a map with a very hidden totem or something, you could just, like... Most of these problem windows just sort of go away. And that's a buff. That's definitely a buff. Just slow vault? Yeah, it can also be countered by slow vaulting if you have enough distance on the killer. Does that include pallets now? No. Crowd control is only ever applied to windows, and they don't mention pallets or anything like that, so it's just windows. You can block all the windows in the game? Yes, I just said. Be pretty funny. This will feel awful to get wrecked by your teammates' vaults. Yeah, but you can also just go find the totem if you really don't like it. Just bring literally a map. Just bring a green map with the tag for killer belongings. That's it. If it's really that big of a bother, it's pretty easily countered. And I know none of you fuckers are using maps, so you got a whole bunch of them. The fact that it's still a hex is whatever. It'll make early game pretty obnoxious for survivors, but until that once that hex is gone, it's obviously it doesn't do anything anymore. That's cool though. That's definitely a sizable buff. Yeah, very map dependent though. Some maps it does nothing, some maps it blocks the entire game, so very map dependent. Predator. When a survivor escapes a chase, reveal their aura for 6 seconds. The perk then goes on cooldown for 40 seconds. Well, that's certainly better than what it used to be, because it was fucking worthless before. In fact, it was less than worthless. It was harmful. Escapes a chase, reveal the aura for 6 seconds. That actually seems kind of decent. How many times are you in a chase and you just lose chase with the killer for like a quarter of a second or something? Because you get out of line of sight and walk for 2 seconds, you know what I mean? Like, additionally, you could also, as the killer, trigger the end of the chase as well if you want to. You can just turn around and just stand still for 2 seconds. Wraith obviously gets immediate value from it as well. Yeah, that's a good point. See, the thing I like about this is something that really good players do is they know when to leave the loop at the right time. But chase doesn't always immediately end. At the very least, it'll shave off some time realizing that that they've left the loop, but it's not going to trigger immediately, you know? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Bob. It's not going to be an immediate aura reveal. But this is useful for times that people give you the slip and you're not really sure which way they went. Really good against survivors who walk to break chase in places like Shack. Yeah, exactly. Shit like that. I don't know. I think that's pretty good. Is it worth a perk slot, though? Depends on the killer again, I think. The cooldown's too much? Yeah, this is basically like once per chase. Honestly, you know what I would prefer? This lasts 3 seconds but has no cooldown. Because what I want is that little bit of information that they've gone somewhere else. And I want that happening every time it happens. Just having it happen one time per chase for longer is like, okay, I see them. Yeah, I still see them. I still see they're going here. I can see where they're going. I don't need to continue to see them. No cooldown would be crazy? Why would it be crazy? It's based off of the chase. There's like one killer in the game that can turn off the chase at will. Nurse is not typically losing chase. Yeah, also stop. Just ignore Nurse. Stop ruining perks because Nurse exists. Just stop it. Everything is busted on Nurse. Chasing 2 people, 1 person leaves, lose chase. Yeah, that would work as well. Does crouching end chase with Pig? Does that count as active stealth? I don't know. Bat form drops chase immediately? Yeah, but you can't see auras in bat form, right? So that it also just counters itself. This will just eat people's distortions. Actually, won't this be in a constant battle with each other? It'll eat their distortion, but then they'll also gain a distortion stack from losing chase, so... It'll just constantly tokens going ding 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 ding. That's funny. Killer Instinct and no cooldown? Sure, something like that. But the whole point is, I would prefer to have no cooldown but much weaker tracking than one very strong single tracking event, you know? Because this is 40 seconds. That's once per chase. If you're chasing someone more than 40 seconds, you fucked up. So... yeah, I would like to see it like that, but that's interesting. I don't know. I'll have to mess around with that. It's cool, though. I heard this bitch died because Pixel Bush was very upset. Change hindered penalty when scanned by drone to 5%. It was 10% before? Holy shit. I thought it was 5%. It was a 10% hinder? Jesus Christ, I didn't know that. Ugh. No longer gains haste when scanning a survivor. Ugh. Dude, the speed differential. God, there's like a basically 15% more speed now as for the survivor. Oh, thank God. Fuck her stupid gliding, no animation ass. Snatch that weave.
Rest in peace, Reposo.
True. These 2 effects combine to create a huge speed difference between killer and survivors. We remove one and tone the other down to a fair level. I mean, they nerfed the shit out of her. Reduce the number of drone scan lines to 1? Wait, is that like saying that it's only on one side now as opposed to being like on both sides where it's like this? So there's only one of these now? Oh, damn. That's fucked. Drones are not always in their active state, whatever. Drone scan lines are now invisible beyond 16 meters. What is the AoE of the actual scan lines? Does anyone know? Is it 8 meters? 10 meters, thank you. Okay, so you have about a second to react to it. That's still plenty of time. Damn, yeah. Holy shit, yeah, she just got deleted. They didn't give her anything to compensate. They just said, fuck you. Like, she effectively lost 15% movement speed due to speed differentials between hinder and haste. 15% movement speed removed. Her drones scan literally half as often. God, she got fucking deleted, and I don't even care about people that play her. This is, like, not even a fair nerf. Like, I'm saying objectively, this is not a fair nerf. She just got utterly nuked. But the bias side of me is like, okay, I don't care. You deserve it. I have so much hatred for the Skull Merchant that I actually don't care that this is not even a well-designed nerf. This is just, like, mean. But I'm enjoying it, so whatever. I'm just admitting that it's not fair. But life ain't fair sometimes. Skill issue. Damn. Yeah, no, Skull Merchant is super dead. Hillbilly. Oh, God. Added a new feature called Overheat. Decreased... Why'd I go Kermit the Frog there? Decreased time before overheat or overdrive god starts to dissipate for 8 seconds was 15. It was 15 seconds before? You could sit there and do nothing for 15 seconds and it wouldn't go down? Okay, yeah, no, that did need to be nerfed. I didn't realize it was that long. That's stupid. That's completely fair. Decrease overdrive movement speed to 11.5 instead of 13. Okay, it's noticeable, but not super bad. Decrease overdrive charges will gain while revving to 1.5 instead of 2. That's pretty noticeable, but fair. Miss attack cooldown 2.7 from 2.5. That's fair. All of these are fair. Billy was extremely strong. He's still extremely strong. This is completely fair. I have no issues with any of these things at all. Completely fine. Twins. Increase Victor's cooldown when crushed to 20 seconds was 15. Okay, that's a nerf. Increase cooldown after Victor downs a survivor to 3.2 was 2.7, so that's also a nerf. Is that the kickable window as well? Is that what they're talking about? I don't know if the kickable window directly translates the cooldown. Yes, okay. I mean, it's overall pretty minor nerfs. Like, Twins is still very good. It's not really gonna... Should have done the Skull Merchant treatment of these fuckers as well. I don't hate the Twins as much as Skull Merchant, but Twins are really obnoxious. At least it's not that one PTB version that we had. They're still really annoying, but that's fine. Slight nerfs. Maybe it'll make one less person play Twins, so world's a better place. The Unknown. HUD display update, or HUD update to display the teleport cooldown and hallucination spawn time. But you can already see the hallucination spawn time. It's on the side of your screen, like it bubbles up. And you can already see the... I'm not really sure what this means, because you can already see both of these things. I guess you couldn't see the teleport cooldown, that's true. Like, directly, anyway. Clear UI, I guess? Yeah, I guess, okay. I guess we'll see in the PTB. I can't really judge that, because I don't know exactly what that means. Movement speed now decreases sooner when charging your power. Does that mean you can't tap the tentacle anymore to delay your hallucination spawn? That is a notable nerf. That's definitely a notable nerf. Because being able to put those wherever you wanted made him pretty darn strong in controlling a certain area. You can't just do it slower? Yeah, but if you're slowing yourself down, like, a lot, it's not going to be worth doing it anymore. I mean, it depends. If you're not in a chase and you're just going to a gen to drop a deuce there, it's not a huge deal, because you'll get there, 1 second later. It's not... But if you're in a chase, then it's going to be rough. We'll see, though. Read the nerfs on this one? Oh, okay. I guess... Oh, yeah, there's more descriptions down here. Okay, we'll read that in a second. Increase teleport recovery speed by 15%. I'm assuming they're going to nerf the add-on. Okay, yeah, so they're basically adding add-ons base kit to make it feel smoother. That's fine. Yada, yada, yada. Tapping the power button can postpone a hallucination from spawning, but to a survivor, it appears if you're able to launch EVX. This forces survivors to constantly dodge and lose distance without slowing down the killer. We've reduced the window before the killer slows down while charging the power. This will make it harder to tap the power button without slowing down and focusing on a chase. I mean, I see no mention of them not nerfing the ability to delay your... So that just seems like a nerf then. Not a very big one, but definitely a nerf. Blurry photo add-ons a fan favorite. That's the teleport speed one, I think. Allows more freedom to experiment with other add-ons, yada yada. Tone down the vanishing box add-on, which is on the stronger side, by adding a trade-off to increase hallucination spawn time. Okay, that's fine. And then some VFX and special effects. Some overall good stuff. Okay. That's fine. I mean, that's not a huge deal. Is this a PTB? Yeah, this is a PTB patch notes. These will be in a couple weeks, I think, or next week. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when this is actually going to be on PTB. Damn. Okay, so overall... Okay, so it is next week. Overall, Power 2, still not worth it. Collective Stealth, never was worth it. Corrective Action, still not worth it. Inner Focus, still really not worth it. We're going to live forever, extremely good. Poised, genuinely useful now. Blood Rush, very good anti-tunneling. Doesn't have much of effect outside of that, but very good for its specific niche, which is great. Quick Gambit, actually kind of useful. Distortion, kind of dead, except countering mid-chase perks. Lucky Star, useless. Genetic Limits. Potentially very useful depending on map and exhaustion perk and killer and stuff like that. So that I'll need some more time to think about that one. Leverage, it's okay. It's sort of meh. Thwack, meh. Machine learning, better, but still not amazing. Deathbound on certain killers, very good. Otherwise, sort of whatever. Zanshin Tactics, potentially very useful on certain killers. Potentially super meta on killers like Artist and Pyramid Head. Deadman Switch, I have no idea if this is a buff or not. I need to play with that, so no comment. Blood Echo, I'd say that's probably weaker than before, to be honest. Crowd Control, stronger than before. Still a Hex. Depending on the map, extremely useful or not very useful, so very RNG dependent. Predator, potentially useful on killers like Wraith, very useful. Ones that can drop chase as quickly as possible.
Machine learning, my beloved hero. I'm surprised they didn't do this at first. It was dumb to need to double kick.
Oh, for machine learning, yeah, I agree. The double kick was really dumb. Skull Merchant completely dead. Fuck you. Billy nerfed, but justifiably so. Twins, slight nerf, not too much of an effect, honestly. And Unknown, some base kit add-ons are now implemented, and slight nerf to map pressure by making you unable to delay your hallucination drop without slowing down. I think that about covers it, yeah? It took an hour. A bit longer than I wanted to take, but I think that about covers it. Alright. So that's gonna be it, at least for the video. Not my stream, but, yeah. Thanks for watching on YouTube's. On the tubes there. I still need more time to think about a lot of these things. I need to see them in-game. But, that is going to be it for the video. Thanks for watching.